liver has an enormous amount of vitamins and minerals and fatty acids in it, where muscle in general is quite a bit lower. As far as a protein source, it's not any better. But as far as a nutrient source, it's very rich. And that's the same as if you think about the color of meats. More red the meats, the more nutrient dense it is. The whiter the meats, the more anaerobic it is. So chicken breast and birds that can't fly, it's totally anaerobic. It has very few mitochondria. It has very few enzymes. Okay. Pork is sort of that way too. So red meats actually have the highest nutrient density of zinc, magnesium, selenium, B6, B12, et cetera, et cetera. And then liver, as you're suggesting, is even higher yet.
People feel so much better eating a fatty ribeye versus a chicken breast. It's just like, I need to eat more and I don't feel satisfied because of all the protein.
The fats actually make you more satisfied too, but it has a much better nutrient density profile. Yeah, so I use a whey protein shake every day. So, that I think whey is, depending on the quality of the whey you get, is around 11 to 12% leucine. So you can reach your leucine threshold with 23 grams of whey protein. So if you're really after post-workout getting a muscle effect, the best way to do it is a whey protein shake. If you want to have the lowest amount of calories at your breakfast and with the biggest effect for your muscles, a whey protein shake's the way to go. I think the point you're making is that a whey protein isolate is 97% pure, and so it has basically no other nutrients in it, where the ribeye has all of a nutrient profile. If you think about what is ribeye, well, a ribeye is the same as the muscles in your body. So everything that you need in your body is in that ribeye in a very bioavailable form. The B6 is exactly right because it's exactly what's in your body. The zinc is exactly the same. The iron's, it's exactly the same, where the whey protein has nothing there. It's just protein. And so, in fact, the protein shake we make is not a pure protein, it's a meal replacement. So we actually supplement it with a complete vitamin mineral mix, fibers, medium chain triglycerides, specific carbohydrates. So we do it as a meal replacement for that same reason. So protein shakes have their role, but kind of like what you're suggesting, under themselves, they're not complete nutrition. My website is metabolictransformation.com. And so people can buy them through that. So I actually generated Greek yogurts in the United States. I was at a meeting in 2003 in San Antonio, Texas, and I had all of the R&D people in the dairy industry sitting in 250 people in front of me. And I said, our research shows that whey protein's the absolute best protein out there. And you guys are selling crappy yogurts that have nothing but sugar in it. I said, you need to start selling Greek yogurts. And Chobani came on the market within a year. And basically, the dairy industry totally revamped itself and went to yogurts that have protein. So all of the proteins and protein shakes you see on the market now, talking 15 grams, 30 grams, that's all because of what we published. So, yeah, we know about those. One of the things that's interesting, the Greek yogurts are a bit more of a cheese type of thing. And so they're more casein than whey. And so, I like the yogurts. And so I actually take our protein powder and I mix it with Greek yogurt. And I make a blend of that. So whey protein is very rapidly digested. Casein's more slowly digested. So it gives me a little bit more of a balance of the two. We actually did some low-income weight loss studies looking at protein choices when I was at the University of Illinois. And what we found was that if people actually shift to a protein-focused diet, reducing their carbs, it's actually cheaper than the junky diet they're eating. There are meat cuts that are as healthy but lower price than a high-end ribeye. Frankly, hamburger. is a perfectly legitimate protein source. Eggs and hamburger and hams and chickens. And I mean, pick and choose. I think they're all functional. I use a blend of all of them. I use cheeses, I use dairies. So we did a study like that. One of our weight loss studies we did with 45-year-old women who don't exactly think of going to the gym. They were overweight. And so what we had them do was a resistance routine that was more about stretch than lifting. And what we found was a massive effect on their body composition. So we had just 2 days a week, we had them come into our facility. They had a 10 to 12-minute yoga session with an instructor, learn how to do some yoga or Pilates. And then they had a 20-minute session on Nautilus equipment, but we told them not to put any weights on them. So they were just going through the range of motion. And it turns out that stretch is a major part of resistance exercise. One of the things people think about resistance exercise is kind of like, how much can I lift? But it's not the concentric motion, it's the eccentric motion. It's the stretch that actually has the bigger effect. Things like Pilates, things like yoga have massive effects on body composition, which, women can do those things. You can do it at home, rubber bands, things of that nature that you can do that emphasize stretch. And, I always say, well, what's the best exercise? Well, the best exercise is the one you'll do consistently, and then focus on stretch. It doesn't have to be how big of a weight can I lift. I need to stretch. Well, I'm on Twitter at DON LAYMAN. If they really want to see us in action, I mentioned Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. We have a number of podcasts out there that I think are pretty informative. So people can look for those on, Apple Podcasts or YouTubes or whatever.